They thought she was just another quiet black girl, easy to mock, easy to break. The laughter started small, whispers in the hallway, cruel smirks in the locker room. But that day, their laughter echoed a little too loud. What they didn't know was that behind her calm eyes lay years of discipline, pain, and strength forged in silence. When they cornered her, expecting fear, something inside her shifted. The air itself seemed to change. And as the crowd watched, the bullies realized they had picked the wrong girl. But by then, it was far too late. But first, please make sure to subscribe the channel and comment below from which city you are watching this video. Before the whispers and laughter began, Maya was just another face in the crowd, a quiet 17-year-old who preferred the rhythm of her morning runs to the noise of teenage gossip. She lived in a small suburban town where she was one of only a few black students at her high school. While others spent their afternoons at the mall or on their phones, Maya trained in the dojo her father had built years before. Karate wasn't just a sport to her. It was her way of finding balance, a place where every punch and kick replaced words she never said aloud. At school, Maya kept her head down. She didn't seek attention, and she rarely fought back when classmates made subtle comments about her hair, her skin, or the way she spoke. It wasn't that she didn't notice, it was that she had learned silence could be stronger than shouting. Still, there was something about her calm that seemed to provoke the restless ones, the kind of people who couldn't stand to see confidence wrapped in quiet. In the cafeteria, the same group always watched her, whispering and laughing when she passed. At first, it was just words, small, stinging reminders that she didn't belong. But words have a way of growing teeth. What Maya didn't know that morning, as she tightened her black belt before practice, was that the cruelty was about to escalate into something far more public, something that would test every ounce of strength she had learned to control. The storm hadn't started yet, but the air was already changing. It began on a Monday, ordinary to everyone else, but unforgettable to Maya. She walked into school with her backpack slung tight, earbuds in, mind focused on the exam ahead. But whispers followed her again. Louder this time. Laughter that seemed to echo down the hallway. When she opened her locker, a note fluttered to the ground, scrawled in messy ink, "Go back where you came from." Her hands trembled, not because she was scared, but because she wasn't surprised anymore. She stared at the note, folded it neatly, and threw it away, without a word. That silence, that unshakable calm, it drove them mad. By lunch, the whispers had grown into something bigger. Someone had posted a photo of her eating alone with the caption, "Karate Queen of the Cafeteria." Dozens of laughing emojis followed. It spread faster than wildfire, shared by people she once called friends. Every scroll of her feed was a new insult. Every laugh was a reminder that she didn't belong. She could have reported it. She could have cried. But Maya had learned early that not every fight was worth her fists. So she trained harder, longer. Her dojo became a sanctuary, each strike a release of the anger she refused to show. Her sensei's words echoed in her mind. True strength isn't in hitting back, it's in knowing when not to. But even strength has limits. Friday arrived with the heavy air of something waiting to happen. A pep rally filled the gym, students buzzing with energy. Maya stayed on the sidelines, blending into the crowd, until she saw them. The same group that laughed at her online, standing near the bleachers, smirking. One of them whispered something, and the others burst out laughing. Then, without warning, a basketball flew through the air, smacking her shoulder and spilling her drink across her clothes. The gym erupted in laughter. For a moment, the world froze. Every eye turned toward her. Every sound blurred into a single ringing silence. Maya stood there motionless, soaked and humiliated. Her heart pounded, her fists clenched at her sides. She wanted to disappear, but something inside her refused. She turned slowly toward them, meeting their eyes. The laughter dimmed. Her calm expression didn't match the storm rising in her chest. She could feel the years of quiet, the swallowed pain, the ignored comments, all pressing to the surface. "Look at her face," one of them snickered. "She's gonna cry." But she didn't. She just stared, unblinking. And that silence, colder than anything she could have said, made even the boldest of them hesitate. Before anyone could react, the gym teacher shouted for order, breaking the tension. The bullies grinned, satisfied, and walked off like nothing had happened. But as Maya left the gym, drenched and shaking, she knew something had changed. That night, she trained until her knuckles burned. Every punch cracked through the air like thunder. Every kick carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. The anger, the pain, the shame, they no longer weakened her. They shaped her. She wasn't training to prove them wrong anymore. She was training because the next time they laughed, she wouldn't just stand there. And deep down, she knew they were going to push her again. Only this time, she wouldn't be the one left broken. The next week, everything boiled over. It happened after school in the parking lot, where cameras were quick and empathy was slow. Maya was walking toward the bus when she heard her name, sharp and mocking. The same group stood by the curb, phones in hand, laughter spilling into the air like poison. One of them stepped forward, blocking her path, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Come on, Karate Queen. Show us those moves." The crowd gathered fast, curious faces, flashing lights, the scent of gasoline and asphalt thick in the air. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears. She didn't want to fight. She never did. But the circle was closing, the laughter growing crueler. Then came the shove, hard enough to send her backpack tumbling to the ground. Something inside her cracked. For years, she had been silent. For years, she'd swallowed words, endured stares, and let others decide her worth. But as she looked around at the faces sneering, recording, enjoying her humiliation, she realized silence had protected them, not her. When the second shove came, she didn't step back. Her hand shot out, instinct taking over, the years of training flowing through her like lightning. One move, then another, precise, powerful, controlled. In seconds, the boy who'd mocked her was on the ground, stunned, staring up at her with wide eyes. The crowd gasped. No one laughed this time. Maya didn't say a word. She just stood there, breathing steady, her shadow long under the fading sun. The bullies backed away, their confidence shattered, their laughter gone. For first time, she wasn't invisible. She was undeniable. A teacher rushed over, the crowd scattered, but the videos were already spreading. The moment the world had forced on her, the humiliation, the pain, had flipped in an instant. That day, Maya didn't fight for revenge. She fought for peace. For every quiet kid who'd been told to stay silent. And as the sirens wailed in the distance, one question lingered in the air. Who really needed to be taught a lesson? The video of that moment spread across the school before the final bell even rang. By the next morning, it had reached thousands, shared, debated, dissected. Some called her a hero. Others accused her of being aggressive. The same voices that had mocked her now hid behind apologies that felt too easy. But Maya didn't need their validation anymore. She was suspended for a week, school policy, they said, but she didn't see it as punishment. For the first time, she felt seen. Not as the quiet black girl who blended into the background, but as someone who had drawn a line that couldn't be crossed again. During those days at home, messages poured in from students she barely knew, kids who had been bullied, who had felt small, who had learned to stay silent just to survive. "You gave me courage," one wrote. That meant more to Maya than any apology ever could. When she returned, things were different. The whispers stopped. The laughter quieted. But more importantly, others started speaking up. Teachers noticed. Conversations began, uncomfortable ones about how racism hides in jokes, how silence protects the wrong people, how one act of courage can shake a system built on looking away. Maya didn't become famous. She didn't want to. But her story rippled through that school like a quiet revolution, reminding everyone that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it stands tall, steady, and unyielding, even when the world expects it to bow. And though the bruises faded, the lesson remained. Respect is not something to be earned through pain. It's something that should never have been denied. Because in every classroom, every hallway, every whisper, there's another Maya, choosing silence just to survive. So the real question is, when next one stands alone, will we laugh, or will we finally stand with her?